Welcome to the Ambulance World podcast, where we are making global EMS connections. Ambulance World is the only website dedicated solely to the practice of emergency medical services across the globe. Now here is today's broadcast from the Ambulance World International Headquarters in scenic Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Hello everybody, this is Evan over at ambulanceworld.com, and thank you for joining us today for our podcast. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite places in the world, and that's Thailand. And Bangkok is really just a very cool city. I spent some time there in the past, and I'm certainly on my radar for the very near future for some vacations. It's a really awesome city, big city, a lot of things to do. The weather's great, the beaches look like postcards. The food is awesome, the people are nice, and it's just very inexpensive. And it's a great value for your spending money, or hard-earned money, I should say. In EMS, all of our money is hard-earned. So today we're going to be interviewing a gentleman by the name of Marko Cunningham. For those of you that don't know Marko, Marko is originally a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand, but for the last 12 years has been in Bangkok, living there full-time, working with the Thai Rescue Services. And I'm just reading from a little blurb that he sent me that he presently works as a fire EMTI officer in central Bangkok. He also is the PR representative, and I'm going to mispronounce this, I apologize, Rumkatanayu Foundation, which is recently founded, and he founded a organization in New Zealand which helps support his emergency services work in Thailand. And he does most of his EMS work, he does it for free, and he supports himself by teaching English there in Thailand. He's been in the past on the Discovery Channel, National Geographic Channel, on Australian newspapers and videos, and we're going to show some of them. If you watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube or through our website, you're going to see that we post a lot of pictures and videos of his work there in Thailand. So he's been through several coups, floods, tsunamis, and he's going to tell you some crazy stories about trauma there. So for all of you that come from big city, urban environments, and you think you've seen trauma, I think we could learn a lot from Marko. Sounds like he's had an experience that supersedes certainly anything that I've ever seen. So he writes here, the night in Bangkok brings a lot of danger, shootings, stabbings, bombings that have become normal day in Bangkok. Marko often equates working in Thailand as working in a war zone. He talks a lot about a lot of stuff where competing ambulance services get into arguments. Sometimes they break out in violence, which includes gunfire. And pretty crazy stuff. It makes if anybody remembers the movie Mother Jugs and Speed early on in the days of EMS, it makes that seem sort of civil by comparison. Pretty amazing stuff. And anyway, so I'm going to introduce you to Marko now, and here we go. Okay, Marko, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Marko Cunningham. I'm New Zealand, and I'm currently based in Bangkok, Thailand. I work for the rescue service here, which is a Thai NGO. It's all the volunteers work for free, naturally, they're volunteers, and I'm one of them. I've been here for 12 years now doing this, and seen a lot, done a lot, and I'm in a position now where I am the PR representative for a foundation called Ruam-Katanyu, and I do have my own foundation in New Zealand to kind of support my work, which I do free, obviously.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. It sounds like you're a pretty busy guy.
Absolutely, I support myself by teaching in the day. I do an 8-hour shift at the school, and Then I leave school, put my EMT uniform on, and I'm off in the ambulance until midnight or sometimes later. Particularly at the weekends, I'll work a 24-hour shift in an ambulance, and then go home, shower, sleep, wake up, teach again. So I have a pretty dull life as far as.
Well, it sounds kind of the opposite. It sounds like you have a kind of a very exciting existence. I'll tell you, Thailand for me is one of my favorite places on the face of the earth. It's one of my favorite places in the planet, and I'm a little bit jealous of you, to be completely honest. So you've been there quite a while. Maybe you could tell us a little bit of a history about how you ended up in Thailand.
Well, I only came here for a 3-week holiday. I met a girl who said the university was looking for a teacher, and within a week I was working here. I had no idea that I could even work here. And the same student, her father is one of the bosses of the Ruang Katanyu Foundation, and I ended up going away weekends, helping with relief supplies for flood victims or poor people or things like this, and I was so impressed at what they did. I said to myself, I have to do this for the rest of my life. Maybe I've only ever seen this stuff on TV before, and so to actually be involved in helping these people face to face was just awesome. And I just got more and more involved as the years went on. I ended up a year or two later finding out that the core competency of Ruang Katanyu is taking care of the dead, which now has developed into an EMS service. We take care of all the dead officially in Thailand on behalf of the police. We fingerprint, we take the bodies to the morgues, we do everything. We even give them burials if they don't have family or people to pay for that. And so it's very busy. I went to the tsunami in 2004. After that, that kind of affected me a lot as regards picking up dead bodies. I didn't want to do it anymore, and that's when I finally decided I want to educate myself as an EMT officer. And
well, that's pretty. That's kind of exciting stuff. It's interesting what you said about the organization generally takes care of the dead, and that's where a lot of EMS organizations started globally, even in the United States. It was funeral.
Really?
Well, even in the United States, the first ambulance services were funeral homes.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the first, which always seemed to me like a conflict of interest, because you sort of had a vested interest on the patient dying. But
absolutely, yeah.
So that's kind of a comment.
Yeah, well, I think some people think the same here as well. It's a conflict of interest, but it's very surprising that that hasn't in America as well a long time ago. When we used to go to pick up dead bodies, when they found out that they weren't alive, they suddenly realized that they weren't dead. Sorry, they suddenly realized that they needed to be educated in EMS. And so, it just developed from there. And now, I honestly believe the core competency has changed to EMS. I mean, we basically, volunteers in Thailand take care of 95% of every single accident that happens. The government ambulance service and others only take up 5%. So volunteers are doing 95% of the work.
Wow. Well, maybe I should back up a little bit. First of all, I did want to say, just to comment on something you said, that you met a girl, and that's how you kind of ended up there. And that always seems to be a theme in every crazy story is, I met a girl then. And that's always the introduction to any kind of big life-changing event. It seems like it's the same with you. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about just EMS in general in Thailand. How do you compare it to standardized EMS in the Western world, Australia, New Zealand, UK, United States? how advanced are they? Where are they? What their level of care is like? Certainly by comparison to Western agencies.
Even the last 12 years, I've seen big changes. But it is still limited though. The volunteers, most only do a 24-hour training course. But they have, a lot of hands-on experience. Even when I started here with just a first aid course originally, I was dealing with serious, car accidents, and I was quite shocked, and I was stunned at the fact that they were just letting me take care of these people. So it really motivated me to get educated properly as an EMT, and so but yes, it is still very limited here.
Okay. Now, is there?
What works for the EMS service is that the volunteers, they just listen to radios. They're parked all around Bangkok in petrol stations or quiet areas. And when there's an accident, they listen to the police radio, other radios. When there's an accident, it's the first one there gets to take care of the patient. And so there was rivalry between certain groups a long time ago, to the point where they literally have fights and sometimes shoot and kill each other fighting over accident victims, which is just crazy.
Oh, my Lord.
Eventually, the police came down and took over the organisations and told them where they can work and where they cannot work, and things are a lot better. We still have the occasional altercation, but generally.
Well, let me ask you. So that kind of leads into a thought about billing and insurance. Is there a requirement to have access to the medical care in Thailand, that you have either the ability to pay or some type of insurance?
Yeah, in Thailand, actually, the government has supplied everyone with free healthcare, or what they call 30 baht system, where you just pay 30 baht, which is about less than $1, I think. So they really do take care of the poor. Sure, there's long queues and things like that, but I mean, eventually everyone gets healthcare in Thailand. So I'm quite impressed by the healthcare here and the government, the way the government handles it here. With the resources they have, it is impressive. It's free, almost free healthcare. So, and the ambulance service is free too.
So when you say the ambulance services were fighting on scene, where they were fighting, was it sort of like just a turf war, or were they fighting over billing that they would receive for transporting these patients as well?
I think a bit of both. It's illegal for volunteers to take money from hospitals, but of course it does happen.
Okay.
And of course, there's when that happens, when there's money involved, then there's a potential there for altercations. Secondly, is the turf. I think that probably goes hand in hand with the money. If someone's encroaching on your turf, then they'll get money for the jobs they go to. So a bit of both, really, but I think money is the main problem. And hospitals are doing the wrong thing by offering money, and maybe the government should be helping the volunteers.
So do the hospitals, are they paying a sort of, I'm making quotes with my fingers, a referral fee to the ambulance services for bringing in patients to the hospitals?
Sorry?
Are the hospital...
The private hospitals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do, but that's only the private hospitals. So if the
that's really actually quite interesting. Now, let me ask you.
I just lost you again. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, everybody, we're talking kind of Skype to cell phone. Yep. Can you hear me now?
No, hang on. I've lost you completely.
Give it a second.
Okay, I think you're back.
Okay. Yeah, everybody, we're talking Skype to cell phone here, and sometimes the connection's a little bit funny. So let me ask you, Marko. You mentioned about the volunteers.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
So you were mentioning about volunteers. The vast majority of providers, EMTs, ambulance attendants, are they mostly volunteers? And are there any career providers in Thailand?
Yeah.
Are there people who are career EMTs or paramedics in Thailand, or is everybody a volunteer?
Yeah, 95%.
Okay, so
what?
So 95% are volunteer?
The EMT guys, the volunteers rarely find EMTs. Some educate themselves, yeah. But the foundations, they have their own ambulances and EMT officers, but they're paid a salary every month. But like this, in our foundation, for half of Bangkok, we only have 6 ambulances, and that's not enough. That's where the volunteers come in. And the volunteers take up the slack with the other 95% of the area.
So you say you're providing 6 ambulances for a population of about 9 million people?
Well, half of Bangkok, so 4.5 million people, yeah.
That's craziness.
It is crazy, yeah. But it's amazingly it works. There's lots of hospitals in Bangkok, really a lot. So, the system here works on there's not much taking care of the patient on scene. It's quickly just stop bleeding, patch them up, and quickly get them to hospital. And the hospital's only about 5 minutes away. And so there they will get proper medical assistance. So it's more of a very fast taxi service. You know, the guys are very limited in what they can do, but they're really good at driving fast and getting people into hospital really quickly, which is pretty good. If you haven't got paramedics on the scene, then you probably have a better chance of living by being in a hospital. And it's fine. It's not too long. Even if you stop breathing for 5 minutes, it's to get to hospital within 5 minutes, your chances of survival are much increased. So that's the way it works here anyway. Whereas in New Zealand, when I go back and work in New Zealand for the Wellington Free Ambulance, we will spend an hour. We'll even stop on the motorway and do, administer drugs or CPR or whatever we have to do. Because we've got, paramedics there, we've got just as good a better chance, or just as good of a chance of survival with, 2 or 3 paramedics on scene, as opposed to being in a hospital. So just a little different way of doing things.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, as long as you have hospitals close and you're saying 5-minute transport on average, most of the evidence out there shows that the best survival rates are with patients that get to the hospital quickly. So in that model, patients on average probably fare better than they do with a patient that spends a lot of time outside of the hospital with even a paramedic. So that
right, yeah.
So let me ask you: are there different levels of providers in Thailand? EMTs, paramedics, for instance.
Yeah. There's no paramedics, although they just started paramedics courses. But what they have is they have what they call ER nurses who are nurses, but they do extra training and they work in the ER, and but basically it starts off the volunteers, the 2 days training. Some of the volunteers are EMT basics, The people who work for the foundations are EMT basics and sometimes train themselves to EMT intermediate or nurses.
Okay.
And then you've got the hospitals who occasionally come out, which is pretty rare, who have nurses. And then at the top, extremely rare, would be the very expensive hospitals who would be called out to a patient who has confirmed that they have insurance to pay for it, a doctor.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, are the regulations now? I'm going to use the United States for an example. UK is the same. There's very strict regulations about who can be on about what care you can give, what medications you can give, under what circumstances can you do certain procedures and give certain medications. Are those procedures in place like that in Thailand, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as drugs and defibrillators and IVs go, very, very strict. But everything else is, left open really. CPR, broken legs, whatever limbs, can all be handled by a guy who's only done 24 hours training, taken to hospital, things like that, collars, KEDs, Kendrick devices, and things like that. They're all done by, guys with just 2 days training, although they do have a lot of experience, years and years, most of them. And we do, train at least twice a year on doing these things. But the thing is, we have so many accidents here. What you've learned, you use the same day, and then every day after. Every single day there's dozens of accidents in Bangkok. So it's a great training ground. When I go back to New Zealand, I'm very, very confident about any trauma accident that we go to. But then I have very little training about people with sicknesses. So when I go back to New Zealand, I kind of concentrate on that. But as far as trauma goes, I think I've seen it all and done it all. So I'm just, when I see trauma, I just get stuck in. And, I'm very, very confident about my trauma skills. But when it comes to sicknesses, I'm kind of lacking in knowledge and experience about that.
Well, actually, that's a good segue. So, because you pretty much you're referring to accidents regularly. Now, what happens if somebody has chest pain, shortness of breath, a diabetic problem? Do they access ambulance services for those kind of things, or do generally they have somebody bring them to the hospital themselves?
Yeah, true. Yeah, they normally jump into a taxi. They're a little bit unaware or uneducated about things like that. We sit there and we watch ER and programs like this on TV, and half the people in Western countries have a huge knowledge of medical procedures because most of them are so accurate and medical problems, and so we're very aware and have a lot of knowledge of these things. Whereas in Thailand, they're still watching these fake dramas and things like this, so they don't have the knowledge or education about sicknesses and heart conditions like we do. So yeah, they just think it's a pain in the chest and they'll just jump in a taxi and go to hospital. So we very rarely have been, in my 12 years, I've been to probably about 4 cases of chest pain.
Really?
And it could also be the diet. The diet here is probably pretty good too. There's not a lot of fat people in Thailand, so I think that the rice diets and vegetables are doing them some good.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was there. I think I was the biggest guy in the country when I was there. If somebody wants to come into Thailand who has experience as either an EMT or a paramedic, and they'd like to either volunteer their time or do a ride along or maybe consider working there, is there a process to do that? How would they go about doing such a thing?
Okay, as far as the rescue service goes, it'd be very difficult. First, they have to speak Thai.
Okay.
If you can't speak Thai, you wouldn't get in the rescue service. Getting into a hospital, like a very high-end hospital, you'd have a chance of getting a job if you're a paramedic or a nurse or a doctor. And you'd be working with foreigners a lot, things like that. But it is very limited. The fact that the volunteers do 95% of all the work, there's not much chance of employment. Even ride-alongs are difficult because you need to speak Thai. Almost none of the volunteers will speak English. Very difficult. Yeah, you could probably only get a job in a hospital, and then you'd probably hardly ever go out anyway. You just go take patients home or transfer them to the airport, things like that. It's not quite as exciting as working in the rescue service, where you're first on the scene at shootouts, tsunamis, building collapses, terrorist bombings, things like that. I don't think I could ever work in a normal ambulance again.
Yeah. Well, actually, while we're on that topic, so I visited Phuket post tsunami, and I saw the pictures of what happened during the tsunami. Seemed pretty horrific. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your experience during the tsunami and the tsunami relief.
Okay. Today, my boss asked me to come down and help because he said there was lots of foreigners down there, and again, no one could speak English in the rescue service. So I flew down on an Air Force plane, and when I got there, I was absolutely shocked. I had no idea it was that bad. Honestly, I was just literally in shock. I felt so bad because I was thinking about trying to get back to Bangkok, lying that I had to work or something like that, because I thought there's no way I could handle this. Just thousands and thousands of bodies strewn across the beach or in pools of water and things like this, and I was wading through them all. It was horrible. It was a nightmare. The very first night I went to sleep, woke up, and it was gone. I don't know what happened overnight, but I think my brain just shut everything off, and I said, okay, just get on with it. And I would work there for over 2 weeks, and I took care of probably around 4,000 dead bodies. And it's really, really affected me a lot to the point where when I came back to Bangkok, I did not want to pick up another dead body again. I still do, but I decided, well, I want to keep people alive, and that's when I began my training. So it really motivated me to do something more interesting and effective with my life.
Yeah, that sounds pretty horrific. I couldn't imagine. As long as I've been a paramedic 20 years and seen plenty of dead bodies, but it's always been one at a time. So I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned about terrorist attacks on your website, which I'll give out that information. You have a video of you with a guy from a bombing who's got no legs. Can you tell us a little bit about? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, well, I just finished teaching, and I was on my way, driving my motorcycle to go to the ambulance, and I heard that a bomb had gone off nearby. So I assumed it was an LPG cylinder in a taxi. And when I got there was police everywhere. There was just a huge amount of damage, and I've seen a guy lying in the road, and I went. It was about 50 meters away. I went to go and help him, and my friend grabbed me and said, no, there's a bag next to him, and they think it's another bomb.
Oh, no.
And I said, what do you mean? I said, a bomb? Is it really a bomb? And they said, yeah, 2 have gone off already. And so eventually the street was cordoned off, and we were looking at this guy with no legs slowly ebbing away. And then finally, me and 3 guys who I work with, we said, look, should we risk it and go and get him? Otherwise he's going to die. He's almost dead now. If we don't get him out, waiting for the bomb squad will be another half an hour and he'll be dead. So me and, funny enough, 2 guys I work with are Muslims. And so if the bomb had gone off and we'd all died, the terrorist bomber would have killed 2 of his brothers, So the four of us ran in there and, risked our lives for a guy who was trying to kill people. So people always ask me why, and that's probably the code of many rescue workers and paramedics is we don't ask questions. We're just there to help people, right? So that was my friend's thinking at the time. We just didn't want to sit there and watch a guy die, no matter what he did with his life was good or bad. And so we risked our own lives to get him out, and he survived in the end. So
So that was the video that we're showing. That was the bomber. So the gentleman that we see on the video with you wrapping his legs, that was the terrorist himself, right?
That's the guy. Yeah. A friend of mine videoed that and gave it to me, so I put it online.
That's an insane video to watch. Now,
absolutely, yeah.
Now a little bit of a different topic. So you've been there in Thailand. You said 11 years. Am I correct, or did you say 13?
12.
12 years. So how long did it take you until you were able to be passable in speaking Thai?
Well, I never studied it. I just picked it up. So it took me a long time, probably about 4 or 5 years. But you can do it in a year, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, when I was there, I picked up all of a half a dozen words, and that was about it. And I probably mispronounced those as it is. Oh, that's fantastic.
Actually, a lot of people are using the excuse to study here, to study Thai, to get visas to stay here for up to 5 years. So if you do want to come, and it's really cheap too to study Thai, and it also gives you a student visa, no matter what your age or anything like that. So I'm probably going to get told off for saying this, but it's a pretty good way if you want to stay in Thailand to come and study Thai.
That's amazing. That's great. And I'll tell you, Thailand, for those of you that haven't been to Thailand, is absolutely one of the most extraordinary places in the world. The people are interesting. The food is amazing. The weather is wonderful. The beaches all look like postcards, and all of that. When you compare it to the cost of living, when you're working off of a Western salary, it's inexpensive is for sure. Yeah. So okay, fantastic. So maybe is there a way that if people want to get in touch with you, or maybe make a donation to your organization, is there a way that they can do that?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a website called bkkfreeambulance.com, or just Google Bangkok Free Ambulance. I come up in the first 20 hits, I think. Bangkok Free Ambulance, yeah. Sure. Donation of money or even equipment. We actually need an ambulance too, but it's probably a bit of a wish list. You're welcome to contact me too if you ever come to Bangkok. Okay.
Well, Marko, what I'll do is I'll post that information on the website, so everybody just look at the page on Thailand, and we'll have all the contact information to get in touch with Marko and his organization if you want to touch base with him if you're going to be in Thailand. And that's wonderful. It sounds like you're having a pretty amazing life there.
Yeah, it is amazing. It's great, just doing something good with your life. I think everyone wants to do something like that with their life, so I'm lucky that I can do it. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, listen, Marko, thank you for taking some time with us, and and stay safe there.
Thanks for listening to the Ambulance World podcast at www.ambulanceworld.com. Please remember to like us on Facebook and sign up for our free newsletter and updates. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Any questions or comments, please feel free to contact us at info@ambulanceworld.com. Stay safe and enjoy life.